Jeremy White Podcast. Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Available wherever you get your podcasts.
The Jeremy White Podcast.
With Bustan. For the best Lebanese cuisine in Montreal, it's got to be Bustan. Visit bustan.ca.
Watch the Jeremy White Podcast exclusively on YouTube.
Gallery view. There you go.
There we go.
Hey, can you hear us?
Yay!
I'll change your name.
How are you, man?
What's going on? I'm good. Yeah, I'm just gonna call you Alicia the whole time.
Yeah.
I know. That's my nickname. My wife's name is my nickname.
I was gonna say, is that your stripper name, Eric? Come on.
That is so my stripper name. It's crazy.
Talking about strippers, one of the most legendary male strip clubs in the world closed down last month in Montreal. It was called Club 281, and they weren't even able to have like a proper send-off or proper closing for another because everything's locked down, right? So, shame. Rest in peace, 281.
What a sad day.
Mike, that's where we met, right?
Yeah. On stage.
Yeah. Dancing a warrant. That's where you guys are hanging out.
He's my cherry pie.
Talk about swing it. There you go.
Talk about it. That's nice.
All right. Well, we're already recording, so let's get right into this. So, Eric, listen, first of all, you are a celebrity physique expert. You are the man that all the stars come to basically get in tone and shape and tour ready to hit the road and do all the madness. What made you decide to put down the weights for a couple of minutes, go record some vocal tracks, and hit the weights again?
Well, I mean, that's a great question, Jeremy. I have always loved to play music at the end of a long day after leaving the gym. Sometimes I stay in the gym for 12 hours at a time working with clients so they look and feel their best.
Right.
So at the end of a long day, there's nothing more relaxing than taking a shower and just playing a little acoustic guitar. And I make up songs and have fun and relax. It takes my mind away from fitness. So the next day it's fresh and ready to rock and roll. So during COVID, we had a huge lockdown here in Los Angeles. I had a little bit more time because I wasn't going to the gym. And so I sat there and I played some songs and I wrote some songs. Most of them were inspired by my wife. We just got married. And the first song that we released, I'm Yours, is literally about how despite any kind of success that I can have, she could care less because she loves me for who I am. So that's what the song's about. And I'm so blessed and so honored that guys like Mike and Aviv and Yerg decided to join me and play on the song, because it really came to life. It was almost like being in an NBA basketball game when you're not really a basketball player. They make you look good. It was cool.
Yeah. So how does that work? You get all your celeb friends that you've trained, like, hey, listen, I'll throw you a couple of sessions. Come and record a bass track on my song, and the money's going to charity. Come on, help me out.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was basically that. I mean, we work together in the gym so closely that we become pals because I'm the guy in their life who's determined to make them better than they are. It's kind of a funny job. I get a chance to work with some of the most watched people on the planet, and my job is to make them better. And so we get to know each other very well, and my intentions are always true to help them look and feel their best. So when I asked them if they wanted to play a little, they were like, yeah, which makes me very lucky.
Yeah.
And we had a great time.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I struggled with weight issues my entire life. I was obese, like from young age through high school. And it was really shitty. It really sucked. Like my highest weight, I was 385 pounds.
No.
Yeah. And
That is large.
When I was 19, I went for lap band surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years later, the lap band broke through my stomach. Like I almost died. I was in the hospital for a week. It was a whole thing. Oh. But just to go, my parents spent so much money on personal trainers, and I tried every diet possible. And it just came down to, genetics and blood work. And the docs were like, listen, next option is surgery, and it's entirely up to you. You're really young. Your skin is still elastic. You'll be able to bounce back if you lose the weight. So I went for the lap band surgery thinking it would work. Almost died. But the surgeon actually was the head of the bariatric surgery center at one of the big hospitals where I'm at. And he was like, listen, the wait list right now for a gastric sleeve is about 2 years. But I can bounce you up because people don't like to get operated in the summer. So recover from this for a year, and by your birthday next year, I'll be able to get you on the table and we can get you a sleeve, and we'll do it for free. So
wow.
I was like, okay, great. So about 3 years ago, I went for a gastric sleeve, and they cut off 90% of my stomach, and it completely saved my life.
That is awesome, man. Well, you look terrific.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Dude, if I showed you pictures of me when I was like, this is actually the heaviest I've been in the last like 3 years. Like I just I'm actually still swollen. I went for a ton of liposuction a couple of weeks ago. So I'm still wearing like the band and everything. But, bouncing back from something like that, like just psychologically, like what I had to go through and talk to, all of my best friends, they're all workout-aholics. They're always in the gym. Like one of my best friends, he's fit as fuck. And even he's like, I have a great support system around me, but for some reason I just wasn't able to see results. So I resorted for the surgery, and the doctors were like, listen, the best thing you can do, you never talk shit about people that are recovering from cancer. You have cancer, you go and get treatment. Obesity is a disease, and you shouldn't be shamed for treating your disease with whatever is available to you. So I ended up doing that. But now I'm on the recovery phase, technically. And now it's kind of like maintaining that weight. So have you worked with any clients like in the past that have gone through like the similar kind of thing, the weight loss surgery, and then they, give some advice to somebody like me?
I'm laughing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I know of one story in particular. You tell them the story of our friend who's, I don't think you want to name him because he's a really famous guy or whatever, Eric, but tell that story. Holy.
Which story? Because I'm thinking of several.
Oh, okay. Go ahead then. Just go ahead. Because I've one in mind, our dear friend. But you go ahead.
Well, I'm thinking about this. I was in the gym one day, and these two guys came into the gym looking for me who I had never met before. And they kind of looked very similar. And it turns out they were identical twins that had been on the show The Biggest Loser and had essentially been kicked off because they didn't lose enough weight. And in the process of being on that show, they were never really taught the proper method to exercise, diet, and sleep. And so they were very confused, and they had very bad, essentially, body dysmorphia. And we really had to peel back the onion and try to start from the beginning and work with them. But I find that people that go through those big changes, it's more psychological almost than it is physical.
Yeah, that was my whole thing. Like even now that I'm this morning I got on the scale. I just had to. I was 248. The lowest I've been in the last 2-3 years was 220. And so, through the pandemic and like last week, just like eating like shit. And like, that was the other thing, I was supposed to follow a diet plan, but you know how it is. You kind of get comfortable and it's like, oh, I'm feeling good. But talking about body dysmorphia, I was just talking to one of my coworkers who I was dating, and I said to her, I'm like, I just feel like I look so fat. And she's like, dude, you look the best you've looked since I've known you. But when I look in the mirror, I still feel like I'm the fat fuck, and my jeans aren't fitting right, and my shirt looks like it's, grabbing my titties, and
Some of this is the psychological part.
It is psychological. It totally is. So how do you help people get over that hump of, dealing with the body dysmorphia, and like aside from just like, hey man, hey bro, you look good, bro, like.
The way that we get through it is actually considering it to be a mission, not just weight loss, but a mission of good looks and good health. And we really help them in those three areas with exercise, with diet, and sleep. We try to have them exercise on a regular basis, and the consistency goes a long way. I have a gym here in Hollywood, and when it's open under normal conditions, we have amazing workouts there. From a diet perspective, we really want them to eat healthy foods that support that big transformation. And sleep is the most important. All physical transformation occurs exclusively during sleep. So prioritizing sleep for many of the Hollywood people that we work with, it's a new concept.
Yeah, because a lot of us aren't sleeping at all.
That's right. And sleep is when all change occurs in the body. You could say that sleep is to the body what an oven is to cookie dough. It's when the big transformation occurs. So if you want to go through a transformation, even if you work out with me, even if Wolfgang Puck made your food perfectly, you need to sleep to see those big changes.
It's funny because, you say sleep to the body is oven to a cookie dough, but when I wake up, I'm still a big blob of cookie dough.
You don't look that way to me, man. I have professional eyes, and I think you look great.
I know. It is self-deprecating. What do you want? So, Mike, how did you start working out with this guy? How did you get to know this dude?
So, I was sort of at you're talking about being in low points. I was kind of in a low point in my fitness and my life. I wasn't 300 pounds or anything, but I felt terrible. My body was in pain. I was not sleeping right. I was drinking too much. I was on the road. And I got invited to do Eric's show called Celebrity Sweat. And I didn't really want to do it because I kind of felt like I was in some of the worst shape of my life. And I was really kind of in a negative place. And my one manager really pressed me and he said, I think you're really going to like this guy, Eric. He's really got that positive can-do spirit. He's got that really positive trainer attitude with him. And he goes, I think you're really going to like this guy. And I was like, well, as long as I don't have to like take my shirt off and work out on camera, I'll be fine. I just felt like just terrible. And so I agreed to do it. And they met up with me in Chicago. We shot the show there. And I just hit it off with Eric and his the guy who was riding shotgun, Billy Blanks. I don't know if you know who Billy Blanks is, the inventor of Thai bow. He's, oh my God, this man. He's a machine, dude. I've never seen somebody move like this guy, and he's not a young man. It's crazy. So anyway, we did the show, and after we wrapped the show, it was really fun, and we had a great conversation and stuff. And somebody from the production said, "Where do you live?" And I said, "Well, I just moved to Los Angeles." And they said, "Well, that's funny. Eric has a gym in Los Angeles, Eric the trainer, And I was like, "Oh, okay." And they said, "Well, you should come and train." And Eric said, "Yeah, for sure. Come and train." And then I went a few times and I met some of the really awesome, positive people there. Just a great family, really, is what it is. It's a family environment. Everybody knows everybody. And there's a lot of love and a lot of support. There's, when you're training, people you don't even know will be behind you cheering for you. And the transformations that I've seen happen there, myself included, but I just started to feel really good, and it's my happy place now. I go there if I'm feeling a little down in the dumps, and I go in there, I always come out feeling good, happy, because the family there is just such wonderful people. And then as a result of that, I became really close friends with Eric, and then, I feel a debt to him for helping me, get my body in order and feel better about myself. So anything he asks from me, whether it be bass or appearing or whatever, anything, I'll help him in any way I can, because he's helped me so much. He's made such a difference in my overall quality of life that I'll just, if I can help him in any way, I will. And that's why I'm here today. And that's why I'm playing on his songs.
Eric, that just it must make you feel so good to hear something like that,
It does. It makes me feel so good. Mike is a great friend of ours, and I care about that guy to the end of the earth. And that's the thing, when you get to know someone in a physical fitness way and you help them go through transformations, very strong bonds are built. And so it's
almost like banging in a way, I think. It's very, very intimate and personal.
It's intimate.
Listen, I'm always thinking to myself, what else can I do to help my clients look and feel their best? Because in Hollywood, it's not just looks. You need to feel your best to have the confidence to walk on stage and do your best job in front of hundreds of thousands of people. And so that's my mission. And doing music together was just such a blast.
Yeah.
And
we really talk about this song. Who else is going to be on this? Is it going to be an album, or is it just kind of like going to be a 5-song EP kind of thing, release a couple of singles, or is it going to be like a full album?
It's going to be a full album. As a matter of fact, the second song, which comes out in about a month, Mike is playing on. Also, Aviv from Air Supply is playing on. But it features Arnell from Journey singing the chorus with me. Mm. And his voice is so beautiful and so big that when it kicks in, I just heard a rough mix of it today. I couldn't believe it. I started swerving my car around. It's awesome. It's called Girl Like You. And, the chorus is, I'm looking for a girl like you. And it's big. So we're so excited about the second single also. And we're just on a mission to make great music to motivate and inspire people. Here in the States, you turn on pop radio. You don't hear a lot of guitar-driven rock songs on normal pop radio. We're out to change that. We want to bring guitar back.
Well, I'm exposed to pop radio on a daily basis. I work at a hot AC station, and I'll tell you what, like everybody that I've been talking to lately, in a way, everything old is new again. Now, you listen to The Weeknd or you listen to Dua Lipa, and the production style is just going back to that classic 80s pop sound, everything from the guitars to Ava Max, a new star. She had one of the biggest songs in the world, was number one on Billboard for like 5 weeks or something like that back in January. Her song, Sweet But Psycho. Her new song, Kings and Queens, has a big, like, Lady Gaga kind of electric guitar solo melodic piece in the middle. I'm like, this is epic. It's pop radio. We got like dueling guitars, and I'm like, fuck, I hope this shit comes back to pop radio.
We're trying, man. We're trying. I hope you like the song, and I hope it makes it into your rotation.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try because I love it. And, the proceeds are going to Feeding America, which is a great cause. Talk about Feeding America and, what that charity means to you.
We sit here in Los Angeles and watch the evening news, and across America, you see the long lines at food banks. And the worst part is that sometimes those families that find themselves waiting in line, by the way, they never thought they would be in this situation, so they're kind of embarrassed to be there. They wait in line for 4, 5, even 6 hours. When they get to the front of the line at this food bank in Middle America, there's no food left because it's run out of food. And so Feeding America is the organization that restocks those food banks. It's one of my favorite charities, and I know all the guys that play with me really respect and love Feeding America. So we're giving 100% of the proceeds of the first single, I'm Yours, to Feeding America with pride. We love those guys.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, we got the business out of the way. I have a whole bunch of questions for Mike. Okay. First of all, to be a member of the perceived most hated band in the world.
Yeah.
To selling out every arena you play in and selling millions of albums, that must fuck with your head. In a lot of ways.
If you take it too seriously, it will, because it's like cognitive dissonance, right? This perceived most hated thing. I think that's just because negativity is louder than positivity. Hate will always get more play than love, and that's just how it goes. So, So if you compare that perceived hate you're talking about with the numbers, someone's full of shit.
Someone's way full of shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next question I got to ask you. Okay, you worked with my favorite producer of all time, Mutt Lang, on Dark Horse. Now, there's not a lot of information out there in regards to how that entire process happened and how you worked with Mutt and what it was like working in the studio with him. How did Nickelback go from just being Nickelback and then completely elevating the game and being produced by, in my mind, the greatest producer of all time?
Yeah, the guy, he was a legend to us. That's why we were reaching out to him. And it was just really, it's really kind of funny because a lot of the things that we did in the studio prior to meeting Mutt was things that we learned from listening to albums that he had produced. And we had, kind of in a way taken ourselves to Mutt school before we met Mutt, and learned some of those things, some of those production techniques that he uses, and had incorporated them on our records. And it was just a complete happenstance. I think my brother was in a studio somewhere working on some session. I don't even think it was one of our sessions. I think it might have been a Santana session or something like that.
Right.
And just said, they were just having conversation around the console while they were working. And he said something about how great Mutt Lang is. And the guy's like, well, would you ever think about working with him? And my brother's like, of course, and the guy goes, well, a good buddy of mine's actually working with him like right now. And he goes, well, tell him we would love to talk. And it was as simple as that. There was, the text message went through to wherever Switzerland they were working, probably at Mutt's studio. Yeah. And the word came back. Mutt said, hey, here's my number. Give me a call. And that's how it works. Because Mutt, the thing about Mutt is he's kind of like an evil genius. Mutt doesn't have a manager. He doesn't have an agent. He doesn't have a representative. He doesn't have a website. He doesn't even really have a phone number for any prolonged period of time. He's really shadowy. So you don't find him, he finds you, he's an enigma for sure. So when we finally made contact with him and then my brother went over just to show him a couple of songs over in Switzerland at his studio, it went really good. And we went from kind of trying out material to, okay, we're going to move ahead and make a record. And that was when he actually flew over to Canada to work with us in British Columbia at my brother's studio. And we basically just shacked up with Mutt for 5 months or whatever it was, and just lived with the guy and learned more. And it was kind of funny because when we were working with him, he was like, okay, guys, here's what we're going to, we're going to, like, for instance, a different, stacking vocals or whatever. And we were like, oh yeah, we're already going to do that. We know that one, we were on to his, to his game in some ways. We definitely learned some stuff from being in the room with him for sure. But yeah, it was a few humorous moments where it was like, oh, you're going to do the thing, right? And he's like, yes, I'm going to do the thing. It was really funny. It was really awesome experience. It was, you can't, there's no substitute for working with someone like that.
No, and you said that your brother had to kind of go over to Switzerland because I know somebody that is kind of working with Mutt right now. He's kind of retired, but he's also doing some secret things. And he was saying that he'd send songs over to him, and then Mutt would be like, "Okay, this is cool. Yeah, all right, whatever." But then it wouldn't go anywhere. But then he'd send Mutt more stuff, and they'd be like, "Oh, you know what? Actually, okay, I hear something here. I could do something with this." And it was almost like an audition process in a way. Like you have to send. Mutt. So did you guys have to kind of audition for Mutt?
That's kind of what my brother's visit to Switzerland was, we hadn't done any demos or anything. There was just ideas. Most of them were either in Chad's phone or in his head. Yeah. And it was one of those things where, he just sat down with Mutt and Mutt's like, just goes, okay, what do you got? Chad, right. And Chad was like, oh, crapped his pants and then started playing, a riff and a vocal. And, that's kind of that was the genesis of Something in Your Mouth. As soon as Chad did that, he Mutt was hooked. Yeah,
because that's a great riff. So what's the first meeting with Mutt like? You go sit down in the studio. Because the dude, every album and genre that he touches, he reinvents the genre in a sense and the entire sound of it. If you look at what he did with Shania's Come On, well, first of all, his Back in Black, and then he did it with Pop with Foreigner, and then the Cars, and then the Bryan Adams stuff, and obviously Hysteria and Pyromania. But with Shania, he completely changed the sound of rock, completely changed the sound of country. When you guys put out Dark Horse, that really created the sonic landscape for every rock record that hit pop, that hit radio, that came after it, because everybody had that, Something in Your Mouth kick drum. And it had that drum sound. It had that bass sound, the fingery but yet bottom-endy tone. And everybody's rock records had that sound. So in the first meeting, did Mutt say, all right, boys, we're going to recreate and we're going to reinvent rock. And this is what the record's going to sound like. And we're going to do these big-ass drums, and we're going to be doing this. We're going to be sampling these snares and layering 4 on top of it. Like, did he go into detail about what this record's going to sound like?
He believe it or not, listening to the final product, you'd think it's a very scientific and elaborate and deliberate process. This guy goes by feel more than anybody I've ever worked with. Everything is by feel in the moment. There's no idea he won't explore. That was one thing I found really, really refreshing, where a lot of producers kind of feel like, they've kind of been there, done that, done everything, written everything, know everything. And, sometimes when an out, like a left field idea comes up, it's like, that's never going to work. Forget it. Mutt was not like that. Mutt would try anything. He was fearless with creativity and totally going by feel. That's something that I really admired about the guy, because for as technologically sound as these recordings are, so much of it was more about how it felt than anything else.
Interesting. So how many takes did you have to do of bass?
Man, that whole take story from like Def Leppard and stuff, we didn't really have, it wasn't really like that. I mean, we played it until it was right, but it didn't take us like, you hear these stories about you taking like 3 months to get a kick drum sound or something. And, and then, the drum takes took like whatever, weeks, we didn't really, that didn't happen for us. Really, I was cognizant of that, but I wasn't scared of it, and it just never happened.
Right.
It never happened. Like, we worked hard and we got great takes, but it was nothing like that. Like those, the stories I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
That's why you're asking. That's why you're asking, is because these stories. But, it's absurd. But I don't doubt that those things happen. That just wasn't my experience.
No, I totally. I talk about that album because it just sounds so fucking good. You listen to songs like, I'd Come For You, and, the openness of the tracks, and like just how the bass is in its pocket and that acoustic is in its pocket when it comes in the second portion of that first verse, and the like everything is just perfect on that album. You know, when you guys were going to record the next albums that followed it, did you kind of base the sound off Dark Horse, use some of those tricks?
That was just that iteration of Nickelback. How that, like I say, it wasn't this concerted effort to sound a certain way. It was just, let's make the best sounding Nickelback record we can make. And that's what we go in and try to do every time. And, with varying degrees of success, right?
Yeah, totally. What was your bass rig like on Dark Horse? Because that bass tone to me is just phenomenal. Do you remember?
It was all DI.
All DI?
There really wasn't any. We did one trick. Well, I'll share with you. We did one trick, and that is that we would play the take and edit and get it all straight, and so that so that the take was perfect. And then,
but what do you say that you would go like he'd go on the grid and like take like the note from there and like crossfade it so it's perfectly matched on the grid, and
we would clean it. We would make a composite take, right? Like you take a number of takes and you take the best of all of them and make one hybrid take, and then you get the sonics right on that. But then the trick that we would do is we would take that take and then pump it through my 1970 Ampeg SVT tower of power and just crank it and put a microphone in front of it. That rearranged all the pictures in the studio for a couple of days when we were doing reamping. It was actually hysterically funny because Mutt actually is a bass player.
Yeah.
And he, so he knew this amp pretty well. It's a pretty famous and well-known thing. And, it's like the old Marshalls, the same situation. Turn it up to 10 and get out of the way and get ready for, a sound like you've never heard before. And this thing, it just roars. I still have it here, in Los Angeles. I moved it with me everywhere I've gone. It's probably the heaviest piece of my life.
Oh, jeez. So working with Mutt though as a bass player, and he's a bass player, did he elevate your performance game? Yes, he did. He challenged me a lot. He made me play in ways that I don't normally play. He made me do things I don't normally do, for sure. Took you out of your comfort zone. Totally. It was what I needed to do. Yeah. Kind of like Eric in the gym. Indeed. That's the thing is I have a similar relationship with Eric because Eric's taken me out of my comfort zone. He's seen me hurting. He's seen me suffering. He's seen me, go through injuries. He's seen me, in good times and bad times, happy and sad. And yeah, we're like brothers, man. Yeah, I really like Eric because Eric, you and I met super, super briefly last summer at a Def Leppard show in Montreal. And you were the kindest dude ever. Like, you were super nice. But when I think of personal trainers, like, I've had a couple, and like my friend Farah, she made me a workout program. I'm going to start doing that. Maybe I'll get you as a consultant to look at what she's prepared for me. But I like you because you're not like the Ozzy. You need to pump the iron, bro. You need to get your shake, bro. Get the pumping. Like, you're a cool, I think almost like a lifestyle coach as opposed to just a personal trainer. Well,
listen, man, there's two types of personal trainers. There's the drill instructors, and then there are the guys that are friendly that take you on this journey of good looks and good health through exercise, diet, and sleep. And that's what I want to be. So I'm so glad that you understand. By the way, I love being in the gym. And so when someone like Mike or someone like you comes in the gym, I'm always so happy to see you, and I want to show you my world. It's so fun. No, I love it. You just beam energy and good vibes. I like it. And hopefully the world will feel the same way about this new music, and we get some money donated to Feeding America and making the kids healthy, happy, and rocking again. Thanks, man. Thanks for listening to this song. It means a lot to us. No, I love it. But by the way, the song was not what I was expecting at all. Like, I'll be honest with you, and I'll be brutally honest. I immediately thought, oh God, personal trainer, works out with rock stars, wants to be a rock star. Let's see what this crap's gonna be. I was expecting it to be like super underproduced, lame karaoke track. But it fucking rocks. It fucking rocks, man. You know what? It's not just this one. Trust me. Listen to the others. They're earworms, bro. There's real pop sensibility there that it's rock. It's rock music, but it hooks you in, man. He really has it. He's figured it out. I'm still not sure where he went to music school. He tells me he didn't, but I don't know. He went to the school of working out Phil Collin, working out Mike Kroeger, working out Shawn Mendes, Eric, real quick, what's the biggest difference between working out with somebody like Mike versus working out with Shawn Mendes? Musicians in general are a lot of fun to train because they originate ideas, develop them, and then present them to the world. I train a ton of actors. I actually train more actors than I do musicians. And actors are given a script, they study it, and they create a character. They don't have to necessarily originate that. So I love working with musicians. It means a lot to me. And, in the gym, I've been in the gym for almost 30 years working full time as a trainer. It's all about cool t-shirts, cool sneakers, and what's on the radio. So I listen to a lot of music.
I love it. That's awesome. I need to go to your gym.
You do.
You're welcome to, man. Anytime.
Come on down, man. I would love to work out with you.
Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun. I got to get to LA once it stops burning to the ground.
Yes.
And being COVID and
yeah. Oh, dude, I'm in Montreal, and right now we just switched over to an orange zone, and the Quebec government's more worried about preserving the French language than people that are dying right now. It's fucking ridiculous.
Crazy.
Yeah. Anyways, well, the new song "I'm Yours" available now. It's great. You're gonna love it. All the proceeds after he pays his bills going to Feeding America, and it's good. I like it.
Thanks, man. Maine monster. Woo woo.
Maine frickin' monster. Anything else? You've said it all.
No, man. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be on your show. It's so great, and keep up the good work. We love music, man.
You were so positive. I love you.
Great.
You can't help but love him.
I love it. All right. Thanks, boys. We'll talk soon.
Thank you very much.
Awesome, man. Thanks again.
Yeah, it's great chatting. Bye.
All right. See you, man.